Talk about unexpected. The Spurs lose Wemby for the rest of the season with a form of a blood clot in his right shoulder. What's the long-term prognosis? Should the Spurs be worried about the long-term ramifications that this could have on Wemby? We'll talk about all and more right after this.
This has been a
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow this channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it, man. This is some pretty big news. Wemby is going to be shut down for the remainder of the season with a form of a blood clot in his right shoulder. This is good that the Spurs caught it early. That's the most important thing here, regardless of the long-term prognosis or anything. It's good that they caught this extremely early. It's a deep vein blood clot, basically, is what it is in that right shoulder for Wemby. And the Spurs do believe that this is an isolated condition. So they do believe as of right now that they caught it early enough to where it may not turn into anything that affects his career long-term wise. But for the Spurs, there's definitely some short-term disappointment in this, not in Wemby suffering this because that's out of anybody's control, but more so in just the sense that you just traded for De'Aaron Fox, right? You're hoping to make a playoff push for the remainder of this season. That's clearly not going to happen now. We'll see, right? But you lose a player in Wemby in only his second year in the league, in which he was on pace to win Defensive Player of the Year, having a tremendous season. And the Spurs were sitting at right now about 3.5 games out of the 10th seed in that Western Conference. They wanted to make that push, but this could actually have ramifications for the Spurs going forward, in the sense that, hey, we'll see what they do with picks now, right? What do they do in the draft? And that type of thing is something that they are going to try to gear towards. It's about development now for the rest of the season, right? You got De'Aaron Fox, you got Keldon Johnson, you still got Devin Vassell down there, you got Jeremy Sohan, you still got tons of players that you need to grow and develop and see what you have in these guys to keep getting ready for when you're ready to start competing for the playoffs year after year. But, outside of that, I mean, the Spurs have their own first-round pick outright. They have the Atlanta Hawks' own first-round pick. So they got 2 first-round picks coming in this draft, regardless of what's going to happen there. So, the Spurs sit in still a place where the long-term things are all still in place for the Spurs. But losing a season for Wemby, it just sucks is what it comes down to. It just sucks. But for those that are worried, because once you hear blood clot, you start getting concerned there. The benefit of this is that not benefit, but Brandon Ingram had basically the same thing when he was with the Lakers. He's had a very fine career. Most players go on when this is found early enough that it does not affect their career long-term wise. So Wemby's not really at a threat for that part of it. So, it is what it is. Rob says, do the Spurs win or lose more games? Is that a win or lose more games now without Wemby? Is that a serious question there? Is that a serious question? Scary stuff too. Definitely glad they caught facts, big facts. Because listen, if they didn't catch it early, that's when we'd be talking about it being a way more serious thing, right? But because they caught it early enough, with athletes, they have a very good history of coming back. Like I said, Brandon Ingram had this early in his career, so they caught it early. So it should be really, really good, really, really good that they caught it early, and with his age as well. It's got to be scary as shit as an athlete to hear news like that's a fact. Definitely scary to hear news like this, man. Like that's something that's crazy, right? Looking on the bright side, they could get Cooper Flag. That's the part that's all crazy about this, is that the San Antonio Spurs could legitimately get Cooper Flag this year. And just look at that. Just put that there, right? Imagine that the Spurs get, and because they have them and the Atlanta Hawks pick, which means they could very well have 2 picks in the lottery or 1 right outside the lottery. Imagine the Spurs get somebody like Cooper Flag and I don't even know who Igor Dimon. Nah, Igor's going to go higher than that. Hugo Gonzalez, right? That's somebody who definitely could be on the Spurs board, right? So, the long-term thing, it doesn't really change much long-term for the Spurs because they caught this early enough to where Wemby should be fine. That's the key thing here. Health. He should be fine. Should be fine. It's not nearly like the Chris Bosh situation. So that's the good part of this. It's not as bad as the Chris Bosh situation. They're going to lose a lot of their remaining games. It's a fact. They're going to lose a lot of their remaining games. They are going they're going to have a really good chance to have a really good pick. This is not good for the Spurs at all. Hopefully, Wemby doesn't end. It's not the same type of blood clot. See, and that's why like the type of blood clot this is very different from the situation that Chris Bosh had. Very, very different. I get it. You hear blood clot. That's the first thing your mind goes to with Chris Bosh, but it's a very different situation. Brandon Ingram, the dude who can't stay healthy, yeah, but he can't. What him not being able to stay healthy has nothing to do with this injury, though. That's the thing that we're talking about. So let's focus on the actual topic. The topic is this specific injury. Brandon Ingram can't stay healthy because Brandon Ingram is made of glass. That's a completely different situation. The blood clot situation, you haven't heard or had any lasting ramifications with that with Brandon Ingram. So not the same thing there, right? So, and listen, let's not act like Wemby doesn't have injury concerns his own self as well. So that is a thing there. Wemby, I don't think is going to be the face of the league no more. I think this is just more injuries to come for real. I think he's cooked. It's way too early to say that somebody's cooked in their second year. It's way too early. And like I said, this is the type of injury that if we're reading from the medical journal, which I did before I came here, no significant difference was found regarding time of return and play between sports. So typically people who have this version of it, there have been 55 cases of this that have been identified from 1999 through 2019. In that time, a handful of those have been NBA, 22 in the NHL, 16 in the MLB, 12 in the NFL. Between that, the 19 athletes that had it in the upper extremity all made lasting returns. So that's what it is. If this was in the legs, if that's what it is, it'd be different. If it was in the legs, that'd be a completely different scenario. But because this is up in the shoulder area and they caught it early enough, it should be fine. It should be fine. What was Ingram's timeline for coming back from his blood clot? I don't remember. I'd have to look that up. Yeah, man, they already lose a lot of games. I think they can win. That's a big fact there. That's a big fact, man. So overall, prayers up to Wemby. Glad that they caught this early, because if they didn't catch it early, it could be a way bigger deal than what it ended up being. So but the Spurs at this point now focus and shift towards development, which they were already focused on. They were ahead of their timeline. And we'll see what the future holds for them here. And there is a chance. I need everybody to get to the point and realize there is a complete and realistic possibility that the San Antonio Spurs end up with Cooper Flag this year. And think about what that could mean for the rest of the NBA. If you have Cooper Flag for the and Wemby on the same team for their careers. Just think about that. Think about that for a second as you want nightmares for your franchise, and we'll see what happens, man. FD HBB. Well, that's a hell of a name there, brother. Wemby, this is his second year, though. My concern, he's going to be injury prone. My second, he needed to hit the weight room this year. So for real, so he's going to be further behind. That's not necessarily true. Listen, Wemby's already gained tremendous. If you look at Wemby from now, he's just never going to be the bulky center. That's just not going to be that. He doesn't have the frame for that. Now, people with Wemby's height are always going to be a risk of injury, especially lower extremity injuries. You start seeing too many of those pile up, it starts being concerning. But I'm just saying right now, I'm not going to be too worried about it in his second year. Not going to be too worried about it. We'll see what the future holds. But that's why you still got to build a team. So we got to build a team. Any chance we can acquire Wemby in the future? Probably not. Bulls Daily, come on, bro. No, there's no chance that the Bulls are going to acquire Wemby. Come on now, man. What are we doing here, bro? What are we doing here? Stop getting high early. I can't even say it's early. What is it? 12? It's noon in Chicago. Stop getting high, brother. Put the edibles down. It's okay to put the edibles down from time to time. Put the edibles down. But all right, y'all, man. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, 773-270-2799, or the number one spot for everything basketball related. I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video, probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.